The following episode contains footage that was originally recorded at a prior hour. Viewer discretion is not advised. Feel free to view this episode however you want to. My goodness. This has got to be like one of the hardest things that I have to go through. 2 losses in the same day already. At the time of this recording, I wish that nothing more happens. But my goodness, this is extremely bad. Extremely bad. And you know, I was having a decent day. Everything was going peaceful. Then, boom! I'm delivered this news at 7:03, and now it's just stuck with me for the rest of the night, for the rest of tomorrow, for the next matter of weeks, months, years, decades, centuries, millennia, you name it. Why are we losing some of the greatest people that I've ever been able to know? Because we just lost 2 members in our Generation 2 unit today. Amber Mace and Ashley Frawley, both of Mid-Generation 2 and Neo-Generation 2 respectively. Amber was one of my better-known arts members. She has always been one to promote her medical issues. She helped us be more aware of the problems. She had always made me feel more wanted and accepted at any events that I would be when I went to do stuff with her in Lynn Anglo Senior High. And Ashley Frawley, very great friend. I've known her since at least September or October of 2011, probably a little earlier than that. And she's been one of my top Honor 2, or was it Honor 3? I think it was Neo Generation 2 Honor 3 Athletics member. I have always enjoyed spending time with her, talking with her whenever I could, and, you know, just sharing memories however and whichever way I was probably able to at the time. Both of them I had not seen for, I'm going to say, well over a year and change, because Amber and I, we had been kind of distant for the past, going to probably guesstimate 16 to 19 months. And Ashley Frawley, I recently had seen her. I think it was in July of 2014. It was like one of the first weeks I was walking through Kings Beach, or at least the sidewalk where Kings Beach is here in Lynn, and I remember there was somebody who had ran out of the car that she was in, and he seemed very upset. I don't know what was going on that day, but all in all, any other events that would normally happen, we would usually have it be very happy, very peaceful. I always smiled whenever I ran into either of them. And to know what's happened to both of them today, it's ridiculous. Amber was reportedly put into physical retirement due to cardiac arrest while sleeping. And this, once again, brings up the major issue that I always have to talk about regarding sleep apnea. Because I've got friends, I've got legal family, I've got colleagues who suffer from it. And one of the major signs is, of course, air ducts get blocked off while sleeping, causing snoring to be triggered. And I even live with a good old-B member of the team who has to deal with sleep apnea full force, and she's been using a CPAP machine since 2007. When I also look at some of the other problems that Amber had to go through, I remember some times where when I was in Lynn English, sometimes when I head out of the building, like after school. Sometimes she was carried away in an EMS vehicle. For those of you who don't know what an EMS vehicle is, it's basically, your basic ambulance. This was when they were still hanging out on High Street. I don't know where they moved the 4 vehicles now. It's probably a few more than that now at this point. But But it really disturbed me to know that Amber had to go through those health conditions. But I don't know if she had sleep apnea. But given that she was put in retirement in her sleep, I would not be surprised if that comes up in the autopsy. In the case of Ashley, my goodness, I'm still getting reports in right now. It's being reported that she had committed suicide. And this is a strictly sensitive topic for me. It's not a topic I can go into without having my own senses of either serious moments or breakdowns, and to know that I feel like a wreck, especially because of how close I was to Ashley Frawley when she and I were around each other during junior year, during the 2011-2012 season. I was always happy to have her as a member of the team, and I'm really glad that she was able to interact with me up to the times that we were able to, and you can tell I'm kind of talking all over the place, and of course, this is something that would happen when you lose 2 of your closest friends and members. Going back to the way that this happened, I don't know how this had all gone down. I don't know how she had done it to herself. I can't say anything regarding the way that Ashley had apparently taken her own life. I can't say supposedly. But I'm surprised that she had not talked about this to apparently anybody. And that's the rough part. That is the extremely rough part with this, particularly because she could have gotten help. She could have gotten help. She could have rebounded from this almost instantly had she gotten the assistance that she had required. What happened to me back in 2005, we're more than 10 years after this, because I still had issues with violently powerful allergies and also asthma when I was younger. So I was, as a result of that, I was inadvertently prescribed both Advair and Singulair. I did not know at the time that Advair and Singulair was considered debatably some of the utmost violently powerful drugs to cause your body to have depressive thoughts and also the will to commit suicide. Of course, I'm not fated to go. That's what I've learned. My body, because I've had respective fortune readings. My palm's been read. Not even suicide would be able to take me down, and I'm very glad that it wouldn't. I was able to get the help that I had required. This was while I was still in Boston. I did not know that Advair and Singulair would give you depression and suicidal thoughts. I only learned about that come around, I think it was sometime in Q3 of 2008. I think it was September of 2008. Roughly a year and change. I mean, not a year and change. Roughly about 2 years and change after I had stopped using it. I had first learned about it on CBS 4 News. I forget who was doing the report at the time. It was either Malika Marshall, Christina Hager, or Joe Shortsleeve. I remember that like, this story, the article had involved, I think it was a 15-year-old guy who unfortunately never expressed any kind of side effect. He didn't explain about it to the fam, and he apparently hung himself. So in my case, I'm kind of glad that I stopped taking Singular at the time that I had, because who knows how much more wrecked I would be now had I had not decided to sober up from the drug. There was even an instance, I think it was in August of 2005, where I had overdosed on Singular. I had about 14 tablets, if not more than that. They were strawberry flavored. Could you blame me for liking strawberry flavor? Had I known about the side effects, though, I would have never had them. I would have never touched them. I would have let my allergies, let my asthma completely go into remission without the need of any kind of drug. I would have still used the regular inhaler. I had 2 public threats of suicide at the time. One was in July of 2005, and the other was in either October or November of 2006. It was primarily, one was while I was with a special program at, I don't know what church it is. There is some kind of a church on Warren Street that had a 6-week program for kids between the ages of, I'm assuming, 8 and 12. And I was only there for 3. Well, actually, no, I kind of ditched out at a certain point. It was during week 2. It was up to Thursday on week 2. And this happened, I think, on the first day. On the first day, I already had maybe, I'm going to say, a few, I probably had maybe half a bottle in regular doses, mind you, of Singular and Advair at the time. So it was kind of normal for me to express myself that way, and fortunately, I was able to be calmed down, healed, you name it. October or November 2006, my threat of suicide was actually because Halima Ibrahim of my Generation 1 unit, my original Generation 1 unit, mind you, she was leaving Woodrow Wilson Junior High. I don't know where she had gone right after that. We wouldn't end up meeting again until December 2012. December 27 of 2012. But I felt as if I would break down so much that, unfortunately, threats of suicide had come up again. And mind you, I was off of Singular at the time. However, I was still on Advair. I completely stopped using Singular as of some portion of 2006, but I completely stopped using Advair after like the beginning of like week 2 or 3 of 2006, after the dose was over. After whatever was left in that small purple container with like dark green letters was finished, I stopped using it. And, I didn't have another suicidal threat up to now, actually. I was completely safe, completely healed. I felt far better. I was actually able to begin living a normal life again. What hurts me, however, is that I had roughly 15 years of depression as a part of my backlog. My life had been a wreck since October of 1998. I would always be found crying everywhere. A lot of people, they didn't know how to handle it. They didn't know how to handle how I was feeling because not even I knew what was going on. I couldn't talk with somebody because I didn't know what was wrong with me. That was hard. And to be truthful, I would not be surprised if that's what also happened with Ashley Frawley and the case that she had endured, and it shatters every single thing of good that exists because of what happened. It's hard to talk about this because there's so much to say. I've already sent my respective condolences to Amber's friends and family, as well as any colleagues of mine that happen to have known her up to now. And in the case of Ashley Frawley, this video is basically my condolence video, because there's no better way for me to put it. And I apologize for all the stuttering that I am doing here, because what could one do when they break it, when something such as this happens to somebody that was extremely close to them? That hurts inside. It prevents you from being able to get all the words out that you want to say. Heck, and I don't think this audio log will be the end of what I actually have to tell everybody. This is just the beginning. It is just the cake batter. It's the beginning of the mix. Which leads me to what I have to say next. Because the way that Ashley had unfortunately been decimated, put into physical retirement, I don't feel this was scripted. This was entirely unscripted. I personally feel that. I personally feel that this was not... This wasn't supposed to happen. I don't think it was. I'm sure that a lot of people will probably agree with me. Anybody that knows her, anybody that's been close, anybody that's been able to basically present their love at this point in time. But listen, if any of you have been going through any kind of matter of depression, if any of you feel like you're at the point of no return, if you want to just end it all, always remember that you have us. You have everybody. You can talk to any of us. Toss in a sad post every once in a while if you have to. I do it all the time if I'm breaking down, if I feel like I'm completely hopeless, if I feel like I'm abused because I don't get any kind of assistance for any kind of troubles that I might have from time to time, or that I had up to the end of June 30th, 2013. That was the official end of my emotional depression. There's just so much that you could do in order to assure the happiness, the welfare, the stability, the peace of mind of every single being in existence. Heck, I also feel like Ashley Frawley losing her life is also my fault too. Because, again, I hadn't been around her for over 13 months. I hadn't interacted with her since July of 2014. That's something I'll always regret now. That is something that will always be on my mind. Oddly enough, however, you'd be surprised. I'm not crying. I'm not crying. It's like the burning rage that's stuck in me to help out people, to keep making more good for everybody, to assure that everybody is able to proceed on without losing any more lives, without any more bloodshed. That's what's flowing through me at this point. There's no place in me right now to cry. There's no place in me to just frown, weep in sorrow. That's how different I am now. When I was depressed, if we were to lose somebody, and don't get me wrong, when we did lose Salim way back when, I do remember I was in tears. When we lost Caitlin, I was holding back. I was holding back because all I had to do, I had to keep doing what I had to, and that is report anything that goes on. Talk about the people. Remember what made them who they truly were, and still are today. That's what I intend to do here, because there's really nothing better to do. There's no reason to do anything worse. I'm not one to normally make posts or videos about this, but we've already lost too many people at this point. We lost Salim in 2010. We lost Tammy Siphon, who was a part of Lynn Anglis Senior High's class of 2011, if my memory serves correctly. She had hung herself. I think that happened somewhere. I think it was between 2010 and 2011. I think it was October of 2010, actually, now that I think of it. After that, we lost... We went a good matter of 24 months and change until we ended up losing Caitlin Massolini due to her vehicular accident. We lost Paige Petty last year due to cardiac arrest, either from sleep apnea or presumably also maybe an undetected case of lung cancer, because I knew that she was a chain smoker. We lost Ashley Berryman due to a shooting. She was an unintended target. The shooter is still out there somewhere. I don't know if he or she will be arrested soon. Then you have Amber and Ashley. There's definitely a whole bunch of other people that I could probably bring up, because a whole bunch of friends were put in a physical retirement either due to vehicular accidents, particularly in 2013. Then we also had lost Justin Diamond in a similar fashion of the way that sleep apnea normally functions. And looking back at all of this, looking at all the material I've got on my lap, because I don't have a desk, having this all being tossed, this is like a direct blow out of left field for me. I'm not used to talking about this, but it's something that I talk about often because it's a must for me. It's a must for me. I don't like to talk about death. I would rather create a machine. We lose too many good people almost every day, almost every month, week, month, year, decade, millennia, you name it. And what do? Do we just acknowledge it and then just continue to proceed on with our lives? Is that truly what you want us to do? Something more must be done. Absolutely. Something more must be done. Because I'll be flat out truthful, I'm sick and tired of seeing people lose their lives. I'm sick and tired of having to look at all these posts and know that something could have been done to prevent it. What will you do? What will you do when the time comes that you yourself must prevent death from happening? What will you do when you're at risk of losing your own life? When you have to defend yourself or anybody else with you to assure the preservation of everybody else's lives as well as your own? It's about time that I start doing something about this. And what is the best probable thing to do? Obviously, promoting the awareness of it is mandatory. That's not something that I could say is something that we're not doing. We're definitely doing that. What we are not doing is paying attention to those that we are losing. We're not paying attention to matters of the heart as much as we must. When I look back at all the things I've had to do just to keep this body of mine intact, just to keep my own life proceeding on, where everybody else probably won't, or certain other people probably won't, the thing that I have to always do the most is just stay safe, stay on guard. But how can I do that knowing that there's just too many people that also need help? sometimes I have to think to myself, is it worth it? Is it worth continuing on to assure that all of our lives are happy, even if it means that we have to do things that we're not able to forgive ourselves for, or spend time with somebody rather than somebody else? Because that's what I will never forgive myself for when it comes to Amber Mace and Ashley Frawley. I won't forgive myself for for the lack of time that I had spent with Amber following my graduation in 2013. I will never forgive myself for not being able to help out Ashley in any way that she probably could have had. Because, people look up to me. People consider me a guardian of sorts. People have called me many things over the years. They've called me a philosopher, a genius, a leader. A guardian is what I've called myself. And to be truthful, I'm doing a pretty damn bad job at it. That's what hurts. That's what's breaking me right now. Am I a failure to life? I don't think so. I don't think I'll ever be a failure to any of you. But I know that I could do far more than what I am doing. I'm not doing enough. I know I'm not. And I intend to fix that immediately. That is the best word for me to use here. Because there's absolutely no way that I can just keep letting astoundingly great lives just wither away like this. Nobody deserves to fall unless if they have done bad to us. Amber has never done anything bad to any of us. Same thing goes for Ashley. Neither of them deserve to fall today. I'm ashamed. I'm violently ashamed that I did not do more. But days and nights such as this one, this is really where it impacts me. This is really what keeps me... This is the only thing that's truly keeping me going. Because sometimes I feel like I'm on my last legs, I don't know what to do, and then something such as this happens, and it reminds me why I'm still developing content, why I'm still interacting with this... Ooh, excuse me. Oh my goodness, an air bubble. That hurt. Why I still decide to go back and talk with as many people as I probably could. Why I deliver my help as much as probable. Why I try to make everything feel complete. Because unfortunately, in the incarnation of existence that we are in today, nothing is perfect anymore. Everything that we used to know is wrong. And I don't think it'll ever be right unless if we do something now. That's why I'm making this audio log. This audio log's already gone over 30 minutes. My goodness. But I don't take back anything that I've said here. It is mandatory that we do something. I repeat, if you've ever felt like you're on the brink of eternal destruction, as if you feel like you are completely hopeless, as if you mean nothing in this world, in this lifetime, in existence, talk to one of us. Talk to me. I will gladly help you out. any of my members will gladly help you out. Any of my head and co-head administrators, Ashley, Gabriel, Chuck, Amanda, Doug, Luna, Kelsey, Shadia, Amber, Terry, Dan, Troy, and Caleb, any of them in the team will gladly talk to you. All of us. We want to see you recover. We want to see you happy. We don't want to see you fall. We don't want to have another obituary. We don't want to have to go to another wake because of something such as this. I know that by making this commentary or audio log really regarding Ashley Frawley's suicide be the main point of attraction, but I'm being serious. There's too much to have to go through that you decide to. Nobody ever must decide to end their own physical life. It indicates that your spirit is. It indicates that spirit is unhappy. It shows that we didn't do enough to keep them satisfied, to keep their troubles at bay. Oh my goodness, I don't even know what to say here. It's just so much I could bring up. That's a very loud car horn. But I digress. Back to the main topic. You know, I don't want this commentary to go on longer than it has to be, since I've got a lot of work that I have to get done in such a little amount of time. Regarding SHC, if you viewed the prior audio log before this one, but I have yet to fully say it, but you know, my heart definitely goes out to Ashley Frawley's family, as well as her closest relatives. The entire class of 2015 in Lynn English, because that was indeed her graduating class. The entire Lynn English senior high cheerleading squad. And basically anybody else that had known her, either within Royameadow, outside of Royameadow. I'm sorry about all the pauses in speech here. It's just hard for me to think of what to say off the top of my head because, you know, I began this audio log at 8:57. I found out about what had happened at 7:03 as stated before, and I needed to make sure that I knew exactly what I was getting into. So I'm at least glad that I could talk about it with a lot of you, and I feel devastated that this is what has come to be. Now, listen, there's just far too much that has to be handled at this time regarding these factors. At this point, obviously I will have to take one or more days out of my main schedule of development in order to assure that certain other things can be done in a timely manner without error. And in this case, that subsequently means that I will be at both Amber and Ashley's wake, in the event there is one. And at the same time, I need to assure that the promotion of the awareness of these factors are absolutely presented in full. So what I have done is that you will see two links in the description. One is for sleepapnea.gov, and you'll be able to learn more about the risks and factors that sleep apnea delivers. What I've also provided is the primary website for suicide awareness. If people in the comments also ask me to provide the suicide hotline in the description, I will gladly do so. Anything to help prevent people from having to go through that yet again. I'm crushed. I'm horribly crushed. I'm violently crushed. It's just too much. It's just far too much to handle, far too much to bear, far too much to cope with. To be truthful, there is a lot more that we could still do, and I know that a lot of you out there want to assure that nothing such as this happens again. As one who has seen too many people fall due to medical concerns that weren't touched, or suicide in the case of Frawley, I know what it's like to feel like nothing. I know what it's like to feel hopeless. I know what it's like to lose every part of humanity that is left in your mind. So why am I still around? Why am I still alive to talk about this? Because I refuse to fall. I'm too strong to lose myself. That's why I'm here talking to you tonight about this factor, about every factor probable when it comes to these health concerns. We need to find better ways to handle what we are already dealing with. All that I ask be that you decide to do your part. Do your part and make sure that this becomes a well-known factor. I mean, it's already well known, but it could be expanded upon. It could gradually be expanded upon. And I'm honestly flabbergasted that nobody has really decided to forcefully make an approach to stop it, at least here in Lynn. Because here in Lynn, we don't really have too many people or units that can help out with matters regarding sleep apnea or suicide watch, or at least suicide remedies. It's hard when I don't see people get help, because that's what happened to me. And being somebody that could personally relate, being somebody that can personally relate to this, I can tell that this is something that will be constantly talked about throughout the decades. And I would not be surprised that on August 30 in 2020, I will have to reflect upon this yet again, just to show how important it is that we must prevent death from happening more. We truly have to prevent people from losing their lives. Although I don't want to end it on a bad note, I will basically say at this point, if I have anything more to say, guaranteed you'll start hearing me talk more about these factors on here. Maybe if I ever have to do any kind of awareness streams on Twitch, you'll definitely see me talking about it on my Facebook profile. And if I ever have to talk about it anywhere else, then so be it. Anything to get the matter out, anything to get it spread around as much as probable. This isn't one of those instances where I can say, boom, here's a topic. Feel free to watch if you want to, and then forget about it. No. In this case, this is one of those rare occurrences where I will share this particular video on every single one of my main accounts so that people could know what's going on in the world, so that people could know what's going on with those in our own team, and unfortunately, how life is and what it's becoming. There's been too much death in recent time. And unfortunately, if the numbers just keep going up, who knows where we'll be 5 years from now, 10 years, 25, 50, the full 100. Why not? I want this to be the beginning of a campaign to prevent death, to prevent it from ever happening anymore. We've lost too many good people. Heck, while I was actually recording this, we actually lost two major people as well. We lost Wes Craven, horror director who had created Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, and a few other, a whole bunch of other major films over the years. I think he made over 20. Now I remember it. Brain cancer was the cause of his physical retirement. And then we had also lost Dr. Wayne Dyer. My goodness. There's just too many people. There's too many people to keep track of. Too many people to keep stable, to keep happy, to keep living. And I want to assure that we're able to keep everybody alive. To assure that nobody ever has to go through what those before us have had to endure. Because even though I've already talked about my matters regarding suicide, I also have another issue I have to talk about, because I've drowned twice. This one instance had happened in 2005 and the other in 2007. I think I talked about it as well during the Salim Fort 5 years later audio log, part of the July 27 anniversary special. Feel free to watch that if you haven't seen it already. Because what had happened with me was, Boys and Girls Club on Warren Street, part of the major church program that I was still with. We had went to their pool, and what ended up happening with me was, we were playing some pool basketball in a 3'6" clearance portion of the pool. There was also a 6-foot clearance, but we weren't on that end. That was for the professional swimmers. So I was on a 3'6" end. I apparently got hit in the head by the basketball, which forced me under. When I had come to, I was apparently on one of the benches in the pool area, and I'm very glad I was able to rebound from that and stay alive. And again, that happened back in July of 2005. July of 2007, went on a camping trip for a full week with International Family Church. On Wednesday, I think it was, we went to the lake, and I decided to go out. We were just enjoying the time, skipping rocks, messing around with a beach ball. And then, wouldn't you know it, the sand comes from under me, and an undertow happens. Now, of course, I know how to swim. So what ended up happening with me was that I got pushed under. And I tried to see if I could swim back to shore. Turns out you're not supposed to swim against the current of an undertow. You're supposed to swim with it, then go left or right, whichever way the current is not blowing, and then make it your way back to shore safely. That, alongside with the bad level of buoyancy I have, can't even stay on top of the water for 8 to 30 seconds at most. And mind you, this is fresh water, not salt water. I probably would have been very much alive had I been on salt water in this case. And I had drowned the second time. When I came to, I was my head was in sand. I had some folks, Dr. Amy, the female lifeguard. I forget the name of the guy. He also played as Jesus in one of the plays that was broadcasted later on that year in October. I think his name was Dan, and there were a few other people, and I was ample shocked that I was able to rebound from that as easily as I could. However, I did not go in the water the rest of that week. And ever since then, oddly enough, my breathing troubles have never been present. I guess I was completely cleared of asthma, oddly enough. Who would have known that drowning could cause that? But, you know, the fact that I could be put in retirement twice and come back shows how much I can't lose myself. I'm far too powerful. I'm far too strong of a person, both physically and spiritually, to have that ever happen to me. And unfortunately, other people that we know don't have that luxury, because either they don't have the help or the support system, even if they have the friends. Like, in the case of Amber and Ashley, they've had over, I'm going to guesstimate, roughly 3 to 7,000 friends personally over the course of the time that they were physically alive. And that's a decent amount, that's a decent lot, that's a massive lot. But the fact that, again, particularly for Ashley, since what happened with her is the major case here, why didn't anybody decide to talk to her about this? Why didn't she bring it up? She could have discussed it. She could have been saved. And I'm sure that if such technology were existent to bring her back from the fallen, then guaranteed I would not be surprised if we could bring her back at some point in future time. But looking at this, looking at what we could have done, is now what we must do. What we could do today is what we must do now. And sadly, that is the reality of it. So why don't we do now what we could do today? Why don't we do now what we could have done yesterday? Or the day before? Or the week before? The month before? The year before? The decades? The centuries? Millennia? You name it. There's a reason why I called the title of this video, The War on Death. Because obviously there's a lot that we have to handle. And I know I'm being a broken record at this point, but there is too much that we need to handle. And I feel that we will be able to win the war on death. I know it's probable. I know that it will be possible, and I know it will happen at some point in time. I just don't know when that will be. But with the help of every single one of you today, tonight, tomorrow, whenever you're listening to this video, you could assure that we don't lose any more people, that we don't have more cardiac arrest events such as what happened with Amber. We won't have much more suicides as what happened with Ashley. Every single attempt at preventing death from happening, that is what we need to do now. I know it's possible to save everybody, or at least everybody that deserves saving. Please refuse to allow that. Well, sorry, I'm kind of getting that. All right, what am I trying to say here? Please refuse to allow the war on death to go unnoticed. That's what I mean to say. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for having to stutter and have to pause to think. please take the time out of your day to take somebody to a meeting. Take them to whatever they must in order to help them rebound. If somebody is just seconds away from doing something that they will never be able to rebound from or ever forgive themselves for, then what we must do is go at it until the end. Assure that we can save them before we lose them entirely. No matter how I view it, there's just so much that could happen now. According to the Museum of Science here in Boston, I remember looking at a little thing that said, like, every X amount of seconds this event happens. It stated that death happens every 8 seconds, or roughly every 8 seconds. Excuse me more. Why don't we say that death happens every 0 seconds? Why don't we make it probable that nobody could fall? If we could do that, I feel that we would have what I have always been ambitious about, referring to as the perfect existence. I want us to live a life where nobody falls. Nobody but those of pure evil. Wishfully, this campaign will go somewhere. Wishfully, you'll share this video. Wishfully, you'll be able to understand that, my breaking down, my pauses, my stuttering, every single thing that's happened in this video, or at least this audio log anyway, means something. Not just to me, but to all of you. Each and every single one of you deserves to live in some way, shape, or form. At least if you have pure good in your heart. If you don't have any evil, then unfortunately, you know what must happen. Salim, Caitlin, Tammy, Justin Diamond, Paige, Ashley Berryman, Amber, and Ashley Frawley. None of them had any pure sense of evil or darkness in their hearts or their spirit. And I'm sure that I know that a lot of you don't have pure evil in your spirit either, or your heart, or your mind, or even your life. Let your life continue. Let it proceed. Never let anything, even your emotions, force you to do the unfaithful, the unforgivable. That's not how I've trained my own, and that's also not how any of you must train yourselves. I'll repeat myself one final time in this video before I decide to close it up. Please, if anything ever comes up where you must take the time to think out what you must do next, instead of deciding to do something that you will definitely not forgive yourself for after causing it to happen, talk to one of us. I will gladly provide you any help that you necessarily need. And if I can't help you, I'll provide you with somebody else who can help you just as much as I could or better. I'm sick and tired of having to see a lot of good folks fall. I'm sick and tired of having to talk about it. But this is my life now, isn't it? Having to combat and defeat death in both ways probable. I've already done it twice. Do it one more time, 3 strikes, it's out. That's my mentality here. And wishfully, that'll be your mentality going forward. I could go on much longer than I have, but this commentary or audio log, whatever you want to call it, before I do editing, it's already 57 minutes long. So I will stop now. But I want you to take the time to think about what I have said here. There's so much that needs to be done before we can say that we have successfully healed not just ourselves, but everybody in existence, and those that you will be seeing that will have these troubles, that we could help repair, remedy, and bring them back to reality in the future. With that, I will finish up now. I'm done. I know that this will be a rough week for me, because even though I've got my work on MIA 2015, I know I have to take some time out to think on what's happened, what I must do going forward, and obviously I'll have to take a day off in the event that the wake, or both wakes, if they're two separate, if not in conjunction with each other. I'll definitely have to take 1 or 2 days off just to go to both. And I don't mind doing that. So while I get everything settled so that I know exactly what I'm going into coming up next, feel free to review anything I've said on here. Feel free to post your comments. Feel free to just flat out discuss this with the entire world. The war on death is a serious factor, and I refuse to view it get any worse than it already is. So, until we meet again on this channel, I am Roya Rockwood. Please stay safe. Please protect anybody from ever having such scenarios happen again. It's a sensitive topic for me, and I know it will be a sensitive topic for you in the future. The war on death can be won. And it will be won at some point. Just hold on. There's more that we must do before everything can be right again. Once we know what we must be able to do, and what we will do, then we will never have to worry. Everything will go back to a life of peace. We'll always be able to be happy, prosperous, loved. Such a thing as what has happened tonight will never have to happen again. And I will be glad when that day comes. Until we meet again, keep it easy. Stay peaceful. I'll be around. Thank you, and good night. I'll be back for another episode whenever that chance be, whenever the opportunity be.